Hello, YouTube. Figured I would record another video because I'm doing something a little unique. Um, I've been doing something a little unique in the last 2 days or so, and I don't know if you really want to call it this, but it's kind of like the sardine diet. But and the reason for that is actually the same reason as some other people have explained. Like this one guy named D'Agostino, I think. I don't know his first name, but D'Agostino explained that he was doing a sardine fast because he had to work long hours in his office to get some stuff done, and that was like all that was there. So he's just like he'll just keep having another can of sardines, having another can of sardines to get through his days and stuff. And for me, it's kind of parallel with that. The only thing is I'm doing it because I'm compelled to sort of do certain things that I've been wanting to do now for a long time, and I keep talking about it um, to other people that I know, and I'm not going to go into detail about that, but they require a lot of thinking and a lot of sitting down and just mental processing and emotional processing and stuff like that. So it's like you have to have a lot of emotional stability, a lot of emotional and mental stamina to be able to process all this and stuff like that. So um, I know it's hard to see it, but the reason why is because you kind of well, it's just very hard to explain. So, but I wanted to well, it would I would have to explain everything from start to end, which would be like 2 hours or something of what I'm trying of the things that I'm doing. I mean, I guess one of those things would be, and I know, I mean, it may sound trivial to you, but would be like going back and learning how to, like how to play the saxophone and stuff like that. So it's stuff that I used to do a while back, and like I just so happened to realize like, hey, I'm not really doing these things anymore. And why is that? Well, it's because you've everything that been doing has completely changed, and the states of mind and the states of energy have completely changed from what they once were. I mean, dude, I was chugging down like, you know, 4,000 calories of Little Caesars and stuff like that. And then, you know, I had this excess energy that I guess I just suddenly felt like, being more cognitive and stuff like that to be able to get through or to use that energy, that excess energy to do whatever I want to do, like sitting down and, you know, writing that paper about the maglev stuff. So, and learning different songs on the sax and stuff like that. It's like whereas like right now, what happens is if I try to do those things, it's not that I can't. It's just that with the energy, with the diets that I've chosen and stuff like that, it's kind of like causing me to, kind of like prioritize rest. Like if I'm sitting down or whatever, it's like I'd rather not solve a puzzle anymore, or like in the past it would have been a Rubik's cube or something, and now I'd rather just like rest so that I can get ready to kind of like unconsciously I'm getting ready to like do a series of push-ups or maybe some running or whatever the case might be. So the rest would be more like you're just sitting there, and the last thing you want to like you try to think, but then it's just too hard. It's like, oh, you just get tired. So interestingly enough, though, I'm still able to do my job without needing to be that cognitively deep about things, which I find kind of interesting. But because other things, it's not as complicated as you might think. It's actually not as complicated. Not as complicated as the other things like learning how to play an instrument or even learning a language, which I'm not really interested in. But that could be also something. Um, But yeah, so I've been doing basically a sardine diet where, well, yesterday I had 1,100 calories. So like, I think so I had 6 cans of sardines yesterday. So that was, I think, about 840 calories. So the majority of the calories are going to come from sardines. And I find that it's very helpful for like, I feel like there's more, I don't know, fuel going to the brain. Like I can just feel it, compared to usual, because that means that I'm not having any carbs. I mean, just about. I mean, there was one drink I had that had 9 grams of carbs, but that was it. I mean, but you compare that to what I normally do, which is I'll have fruit at the end of the day so that I can power myself for the next day or whatever. And no, I can have upwards of 200 grams of carbs in a day just from that alone, because I'm just keep snacking on those. And then, well, not just 200, maybe like 100, and then but everything adds up to like 200 grams a day or so. So the reason for that is because it was just like it was working for me. It started working for me. So, and it wasn't like I was gaining a ton of weight. I mean, I pretty much didn't gain any weight doing that approach. So it was fine for me. Everything worked out, and it was perfect for somebody's trying to be physically active. And like, I'll tell you one thing about this approach. So yeah, back then, so like I said, I was doing about 2,200, 2,700 calories a day. And this new approach, it's like my whole body feels irrelevant. It's like I just want to, it feels like my body is irrelevant and I don't need to exercise. But obviously I'll take a walk every once in a while. But I'm also sticking to low calories. So yesterday I had only 1,100 calories. It's not much. And no carbs at all. So it's like, it really does feel like my brain is like super powered, and I could basically overcome hurdles that seemed difficult, like over time, like certain things, it just seemed harder because maybe it was like emotionally difficult to process or whatever the case might be. It's just like more difficult mentally to, it requires more brain power to be able to get through it. And, I just didn't have the excess calories, so to speak, to achieve that. Now, obviously, it doesn't really require whatever I'm trying to do. It doesn't really require this. It's just that I'm finding that switching over to this is extremely helpful. It's extremely helpful to just sort of focus on it and like try to figure out what's going on. So, like for example, certain things, like they just seem like they're taking forever, but like I said, I think it's just a matter of how things were leading up to this point, because like I said, remember my goal was 10% body fat, so my body mattered a lot. I don't know how far I'm going to go with this, but 1,100 calories isn't very much, and you obviously have to exercise every once in a while. So I don't know how far I'm going to go with this, but I guess I'm just trying to kickstart things that I've been wanting to do. And I think to get into a rhythm, and then once that rhythm occurs, it's like you can go back to your old diet, and it won't be like it's that kickstart that's difficult to make it happen. I know it's hard to understand, but like just because like every time I try to revisit it over and over again, it just doesn't seem like anything's really happening, So it's that kickstart. It's like, what do you do to kickstart, right? And then once that happens, then like the consequential actions are a lot more natural. They flow a lot better. So then you don't have to like use so much brain power to get to the next thing. You could do whatever. But I find that, so in terms of the sardine fast, I find that it's really hard to get off carbs. Like I don't know why yesterday, I just I'm so used to having that carb load like near the end of the night, or not near the end of the night, but like later in the day, that to avoid that just felt like I just felt like super weak. My body felt extremely weak, and even now it's kind of like I said, I don't even feel like doing any exercise at all. I can't. It's like I'm dragging my whole body every time I go somewhere. It just feels like I'm dragging my whole body, and the whole thing about this is I noticed that once I got lean enough, it got harder and harder to get into ketosis. So it's just I don't know. My body's weird, but it's not really weird. I think it makes sense to in some cases, but that whole thing about being in ketosis. I mean, like you don't. It could. I mean, everybody tells you that when they're on the keto diet or whatever, they it makes it harder for them to work out and stuff like that. So it's like it's because the brain thing. So it all the energy is like concentrated for you to just use your brain basically. So yeah, it's been interesting. I mean, I still do intermittent fasting. Like I'll fast until like 2. But if you think about it, I've never done this approach with keto before. Usually with keto, I'll try to get in as much fat as I can. Or in the past, this was a year ago. And obviously I kept the weight on because it was just too much fat, but too many calories. And so, well, it's not that I kept the weight on. I had to strategically use keto and fasting, or that version of keto and fasting for me to lose, go below, say, 16.5% body fat. According, from the in-body scan, that is. But in this case, in this particular situation, it's kind of interesting because although your body doesn't matter, it also matters at the same time. Meaning, like, I'm just doing that one food. I mean, it's not that I'm doing that one. It's not a fast. It's a diet. I mean, I'm doing more than that. So it wasn't just 840 calories of sardines. It was also I had chicken and venison, so it all added up to about 1,100 and some calories, and some konjac noodles, which has 3 grams of net carbs, 2 grams of net carbs, something like that. But yeah, I find it pretty interesting. So, because like when you don't have like this is the omega-3 fats, right? It goes to your brain and you just process everything. I could just feel it. I could sleep. I'm sleeping better. It's not that I didn't sleep. It's not that I slept bad or whatever, but I noticed that once I'm in the bed, it's like it just feels like your brain is in the clouds. Like it feels so good. Your brain is like not in the clouds in the bad way, but it's you're kind of like in a heaven situation. Like you kind of feel like something is like providing like some sort of softness, like it's like massaging your brain sort of, versus like you have if you're carved up, you're sleeping, and you're resting, but it feels more rest than it does. It feels like your body is recovering versus your brain. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, I just figured I would give this update because I mean, some people, this is their whole life. I mean, they live in such a way that they don't move around a lot, and a lot of them are fat, and then they just take in excess calories and stuff like that, and they're smart but they're fat. That's just how they live, and they don't move around a lot, so they, obviously they're, this is the way they live. So it's I mean, like I said, I was kind of like I was leaning towards that, the latter part of my bad dieting, obviously, right? Which I would say caused a lot of weight gain, actually, in and of itself, just because I was using calories not to be active, but to be more cognitive, and obviously has less caloric output. So yeah, haven't been running, I haven't been weightlifting or anything, or doing any exercise snacking, just literally just sitting down or laying down because, you know, that's just what was going on with my diet or whatever. So yeah, do I have any more thoughts on this? I have a lot of thoughts on this. I'm just so focused on work and stuff, trying to get through this stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of been interesting to think about because I could still do regular work and be super carved up and not have to be this way. But to do my regular stuff, well, I wouldn't say to do my regular stuff, but yeah, to do my regular stuff or the things that I want to do for myself, I find that it requires a lot more brain power, just like sheer brain power. And it's probably because it's not like because the stuff that I want to do has not been, I haven't been able to get into the groove of anything yet. Like there's no specific, you know what I mean? So I think it's like the key is to, start something, and then once you get into the groove of it, it's like you can, like for example, if I were to start a job again, I probably would have to be more cognitive about it. Like I'd have to learn how to do it again, So maybe that's just all it is. It's like anything new, it just kind of requires you to be have a lot more brain power, and then you get used to it, and then you're like, okay, well, what else is there to do? Well, you're used to it. Okay, well then I don't need to do anymore. So that's why I felt like I could run more and do more things like that after a while, and whereas before it just didn't feel like it. And the other thing I was thinking about, that's right, earlier, was the fact that I kind of find it interesting that I used to think of activity and physical, like exerting yourself, in terms of like a hike or even a long walk or something. Now I can see through all that bullshit. Like, oh well, if you want to do that, that's great, but I don't really consider that to be like effective exercise necessarily. I mean, yeah, hiking's great, but it's only relative to this kind of mode of living. That's active, right? That is like burning calories and stuff like that, but way more than you would normally, like just sitting down and stuff like that. But relative to like the 10% thing, go body fat, or this, being athletic and stuff like that, there's like that would never, that doesn't even count as physical exertion. And so it's just funny to realize like how things have changed in my life because of weight loss and stuff like that. Because back in the day, I would have assumed, oh yeah, I'm planning on going on a hike, blah blah blah, and I'm thinking I'm doing all this activity, but it's not really that active for a weekend. I'm like, holy crap! Like I did nothing compared to what I would do in the carb situation, But yeah, I just think it's interesting. But yeah, like nowadays, if you were to do a hike, it's like, okay, well, aren't we, what's our goal here? Are we doing 20 miles, 30 miles, that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, but in this mode, I definitely could see why somebody would think, oh yeah, I'm just going on a hike this weekend, and that's going to be my getaway kind of thing, and I can't wait to do it, blah blah blah. It's like, oh my god, like, in a way I feel spoiled in terms of activity. It's like, because some people can't do any of this stuff. Like spoiled in terms of, oh yeah, you can do it all. You're lucky you have, you're not crippled or whatever. So yeah, I just found that to be interesting, because you could look at my old videos and I was like hiking, and back then I would have considered that to be a highly active thing, which it was compared to being this way, because if you're just sitting down all day, there's way more activity involved with doing that, So yeah, I don't think things will return to back to that situation. This is just a short-term thing, but who knows? Because like I might get that deep into what I'm doing that I will want to to do it long term. And I don't know if that means I'm gonna gain a bunch of weight, but I don't think I will, because I basically drilled it into my subconscious never to eat like shit again. I mean, just never to go crazy on the calories. And now it's like, okay, well, now I know what to do instead. I just have a bunch of sardines, just a bunch of the omega-3 fats, and your brain's going to love you for it. Or you could fast for, well, fasting, I'm finding that this is way more effective than just regular fasting, because you're, even though you got the BDNF from fasting, it takes a while. It's like, it doesn't come immediately, and then, like, right now I'm going through everything and talking and thinking properly. This, even thinking would be hard when you're doing a straight up fast, like, especially a dry fast. It's like you're just slow at everything, and you can't even, I mean, you could think, but but it takes a while for that BDNF to really come to play. And I described that to you in one of the videos. So this is a good, like, a good medium. The only problem, though, is for those of you that want to do this, if you're used to that activity and doing carbs and stuff, oh, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to get off of carbs. It's going to be, I mean, I do relatively low carb, but to be pretty much zero carb, just about 0 to 10 grams, maybe 20, maybe 15 or 20. But I'm just saying, the keto level, right? The true keto level. That's rough to get off the carbs, man. I mean, holy crap. But yeah, I mean, let's think here. I don't even see. Yeah, I just wanted to record this video for that update. I'm not doing this sardine fast or sardine diet for weight loss. I'm not doing it for weight loss. I'm doing it specifically so I can get back into the groove of emotionally and mental processing. I would lump those together, just say mental processing. And because for whatever reason, I feel like I've fallen off of the bandwagon for that, or fallen off the wagon for that. And it's just been, like, more difficult. Like, I'll explain further. So basically, one of the problems I noticed is that I would, like, for example, go on a run or do something active, and I feel like, oh, well, okay, I'm planning on doing X, Y, and Z. Come home, and I realize, like, I'm out of my mind, literally. Like, I'm literally cannot use my mind. I'm like, how come I can't really think? Like, I'm like, okay, well, okay, yeah, you wanted to do this. I'm like, yeah, but damn it, I can't think straight. Like, I can't, so if I do any activity that I exert myself more, like, I'd say more than 20-30 minutes, that's kind of like, I don't know, like 400 or 500 calories, I'm gonna come home and I feel this way, where I could still do work, I could still do rote things, like, just move around and just basic things, but I just cannot. I'm like, you were planning on doing this, right? And I'm like, fuck, I can't. How do you process this equation thing or whatever? Like, I'm like, damn it, I can't think that. I can't produce the mental power from bandwidth or whatever to be able to get to that next stage of whatever I wanted, like the next thing for me to to think through this thing. It's like you kind of like you're it's kind of like it's kind of like you want to do a translation from English to Spanish, but you can only say the first word of the Spanish, or the Spanish word, and then the rest of it you're just like, I can't get it out. And that's what I'm talking about. And so then you just end up giving up because it just takes too much power, and you don't have enough mental bandwidth at that point because you've used up all your energy for your exercise. So you're like, fuck, And so this is where, well, not just that, but it's also has something to do with carbs too, because carbs also have that effect too. I noticed that when I, even if I sit down for a while for like 2-3 hours, I start getting antsy with carbs. I'm like, well, I don't, it's not that I can't think straight, but after a while I I have the less of an ability to get in deep thought, the more carved up I am, and it's like my brain wants to go. My brain wants to use less energy, but my body wants to use more energy, and it's like, what do I do with this? It's like, oh well, I guess you better go exercise. So then it's like, get your ass to the gym, and that's a good thing actually, or get yourself outside, do something. And so this is what I'm talking about. It's like if you didn't have that, if you could just get through them, if you could just sit down and say fuck it, you look lazy, and you probably will be lazy in terms of activity, but your mind is awake, it's sharp, you're going through things, and you're like, okay, well, this is 6 p.m. I know I'm done with work, but now suddenly I want to read 10,000 pages, or I want to write a 10,000 page essay. I'm not saying those are the things I'm going to do, or learn. I want to learn how to play this specific song, or learn how to do this specific scales on the, because you just have these ideas that you want to execute on, and so you'll sit down for an additional 4 hours before your brain gets exhausted and you have to sleep again, obviously. And so that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. And that was a formula to get fat if you eat a lot. And so this is why it's like one of the things that I know a lot of people will disagree with me on, specifically Mindy, probably some other people in the space, but you pretty much have to go low calorie, like if you don't want to get fat, doing this approach, in my opinion. So like 1,100 calories made 100% sense yesterday. It was super low, but it's like you're not doing anything active, so of course it makes sense, right? You're gonna get fat if you don't, if you continue being like this, if you don't do little calorie, But yeah, anyway, I just thought it was interesting to explain that. This is weird. I guess they. Oh. But yeah, I mean, the only exception though is yesterday, for whatever reason, I just I do kind of know the reason, but like yesterday, it was like this. I was so fatigued that I just kind of had to rest. Like I was able to think pretty well. Like, my mind was on fire, and it didn't keep me awake. What's interesting is that being like this, you can basically go to sleep and just fine, like that, and feel really good about it. It's very interesting, very, very interesting. And it's because of those omega-3 fats. Those omega-3 fats really, they're very therapeutic, very therapeutic. So I recommend people doing the Sardine diet fasting. It's something, like, I know it sucks because I looked at my ketone reading and it's actually low. It's still 0.2. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Well, it's because I'm so carb adapted that it's just hard to get out of that. So it's just going to take some time, but I don't know how far I'm going to go with this, but we'll see. And yeah, I guess I'll report back a little bit later, but I just want to hold on a second. I'm just going to say, but yeah, I don't think I'm going to get fat with this approach, even though it means lower activity. Like, I literally do not feel like doing a damn thing physically. It sounds like I'm a fat fuck for saying that, but it's like the goddamn truth. It's like I think I got 7,000 steps in. That's pretty low for me yesterday, just doing some errands and stuff like that. But yeah, it is what it is. I mean, I'm just happy I can do low calorie in general. This is fucked up. Sorry. But yeah, yeah, interestingly, I was reaching out to some potential tenants, and now I know that's another thing that I want to do. That for whatever reason, I just cannot seem to like I don't know why it took me that this sardine fast to be able to be like, okay, I know what to do now. Like, sit down and actually get through it, and go through the process of what I need to do. So yeah, I reached out. We talked, and I'm not. I said, "You want to take a tour to my place?" And he's like, "Yeah, well, yeah." At first, he was like not interested, but he's like, "No, it sounds cool actually." So that he's gonna come by on Friday, and I think part of the emotional processing is that it's like, you know um, I'm just not used to living this way. Like a lot of people, I think I've said this to somebody, like I've said this to my friend, I think people usually stick with what they're used to doing, and then they just live their life like that. I'm extremely versatile if you think about it. So like I might have been like this for a good amount of my life, and then I just suddenly stopped, and then I switched over to like being more athletic, and so that part of me kind of got put on hold, and so now it's just kind of hard for me to go back, and yet so what's interesting is I'm still able to do my job regardless of any way I am. It's kind of interesting, but yeah, I mean, it's like I've said, like I said, I think most people, and so I think my expectation is a little bit like out there. It's like, okay, well, why should you expect yourself to go back? Because this was like a year ago when I was more cognitive, so to speak, I guess, before all the body fat stuff got more difficult, more difficult, more difficult. But see, like I said, I've never tried doing keto in this way. I've always done keto where I'm doing 2,500 to 3,000 calories a day, and I never tracked, obviously, but I know for sure that's what it was. It was around that. So this is like doing keto on a low calorie diet, and so far it's giving the same mental benefits. So I mean, I really don't see um, I see nothing wrong with it. I see anything but good in it, actually, possibly. Um, it's just like, because I mean, I'm fortunate that I can do this. Like I don't have I'm not mentally addicted to carbs in the sense that I need them all the time. I just had that physiological response because I was so used to being a certain way with my diet. you know so to suddenly say, hey body, I'm not giving you carbs, it was a big shock. So it wasn't a mental shock, it was more like it's just a physical shock. Like I don't feel like I need to munch on some candy or whatever. It doesn't make any sense, or even fruit. So I've been avoiding that completely, just in the last, just yesterday really. So we'll see how things go, but yeah, so far it seems like it's fine. Yeah, and it's interesting. I actually, unlike a fast, like an actual fast, like this one kind of seems like a fast because I'm severely, cutting out the carbs, but and trying to reduce the activity level. But you know, reducing what was I gonna say? So focused on my job right now. Um, I forgot what I was gonna say, but yeah, I don't know what I was gonna say, but anyway, I'll remember it. I think probably. Um, yeah, this is gonna be an awkward video, I guess, just because. Yeah, I guess going back to the whole idea of activity and stuff like that, it also goes back to the whole thing like, oh, well, I need a desk, or I mean, I need a movable desk, like the ones where you can go up and down, and so I can stand. And it's like, oh, I'm getting my exercise, blah blah blah. I'm like, dude, these things are so small compared to actually going to the gym and then putting in the 9 miles per day and all that. It's just interesting how things work, like people, their ideas of what exercise is and stuff like that. Um, and I'm not putting anyone down for it. I mean, if you can get into the motion of doing something even simple like that, that's the key. And then you start building your way up. But obviously, if you live like this, you're never going to get there. You're never going to value it enough to where it's effective. And I could see why people like go out there and say, well, it's never calories in, calories out, and all this other stuff, like where they don't think calories can be effectively used up for weight loss from activity. But I think it's because they haven't. I think the ultimate truth is they haven't actually went out there and exerted themselves hard enough to get a weight loss effect from activity. And perhaps it's because of their ailments or whatever the case might be. But I would say that regardless of that, I mean, there's still value if you're concerned about your health to going out in the sun and to going on walks and stuff like that. I'm not saying there's no benefit, but in terms of like some substantial benefit, like what I was getting from it from January onward, getting from 13% body fat to 10%, which obviously I'm not now, because remember I told you that I gained fat from the vacation. Not because it's just because I wasn't going hardcore anymore and I was doing the 2,500 calories a day or whatever. Low fat, but still, it's anyway. Yeah, so if you there's still benefits to going outside and exposing yourself to light and stuff like that. But this whole philosophy about Kiko, is I would say it doesn't make sense for most people, but it makes sense for people that are doing 9 miles a day or whatever, or like they're doing that and they're trying to strategize with activity, and they're giving themselves time with that. So, it's for the people, it's kind of funny because from a Kiko point of view, it's like you look at somebody who's like, let's say, hell overweight, like they got, they're like my height, and they're, let's say, over 220, 230 pounds. I would even say, like, if you get down to 220 or maybe 210, 210 pounds at my height, 5'10", 5 feet 10 inches, you're probably gonna benefit more from activity than what I'm about to say. So if you're over 220, I mean, you're pretty much, I would say, best bet is to, like, at 5'10" or lower, your best bet is just to do what Cole Robinson said, which is the unconventional thing, and the thing that everybody would say, well, you must be, like, you deserve to die over, or you're like telling people to kill themselves. No, you're not. You're not going to the extreme. You're just telling it like it is. The people in those situations, the best thing they can do is not try to incorporate activity or anything. They can. That's great, But if they're trying to lose weight, like, the best thing they could do is pretty much to just dry fast their way through it. Like, just they call it like the bear diet or something, or hibernation diet, or the hibernation fasting, where you're basically just moving around a little bit. You might move around a little bit. You might do a light exercise if you have a coach that can help you with that. But generally speaking, you're just hibernating the whole time. No food at all, no food or water. And I know it sounds crazy, but that is the ultimate way. Now a water fast could also work, but I would say that that's the ultimate way to just bring it down to below 220. And then once you're there, most likely you're like 30, 39, maybe 35% body fat if you're a man. You have the ability now to finally do exercise regularly and eat just about however you want, as long as the calories are lower, like 2,000, 2,000, 3,000 to 3,000 calories, and exercising regularly to actually get below and just keep going down to say 20% body fat or something. So I don't know. I just find it interesting. Like it's like I'm on par with a fat person, but eating like low calories. A fat person that chooses to want to be really thinking hard. But yeah. I don't know. I'm just trying to get my thoughts out. I mean, just whatever's on my mind while I'm doing my work. Hopefully, you find it interesting. And I mean, there are some people who can live like this or that are like this that aren't fat or whatever. But I guess they might have fat tendencies to some extent. Like Aaron Clary would be one of them. And I know if you're listening to this, you're not fat. Aaron Clary, you're not fat. You're skinnier than me, I think, probably at this point. Well, at this point, we're probably about the same. I mean, I'm only saying that so you don't challenge me, because I'm not trying to challenge anyone. But, yeah, the thing is, you could live your life like this and basically act like a DJ talk host or whatever. And I guess Michael Savage would be like someone like that, but I don't want to comment on his weight. I mean, he seems to be losing a lot of weight. Let's just say that. But yeah, I mean, you could live like this and still be somewhat slender, average, or whatever weight, right? But somehow it's like, I guess you're smart enough to know how to handle not getting fucking huge because you're using your brain so much. But at the same time, it's like, how did that happen to me? And and how does it happen to other people? I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I'm saying during that time when I was doing it, like you can look at my old videos. That was when I was learning how to play songs and doing some other things where you had to sit down longer. Reading, I read the Wealth of Nations. That was pretty tough if you think about it. Like I read for me to read the second half of the book, I literally just read it straight. I stopped understanding it, but I was just kind of reading it like, I kind of get it. Kind of skimming it to some extent. But I literally stayed up like 2 days straight just to get through that latter half. Like literally, like I was having like these diet monsters on the side. It was so bad. I mean, my diet was not that great back then. It wasn't as great as it is now. But yeah, I mean, getting through that book required a lot of brain power, and it was interesting. But yeah. And it's funny, it's funny how I used to be, because I used to be like this, like, when I was, attempting to write that novel when I was 16. Like, I converted over to being like this. Before, it was, like, kind of like a mixed bag of things, and then, I don't know. Video games kind of encourage you to be like this, I think, too. So, anyway. Yeah, it's kind of interesting how things work, but yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like, my whole thing is like, I want to keep doing this sardine diet until things kind of make sense, because like right now things don't really make sense. They don't seem to make sense to me. Like, why is it that I can't get beyond this, or I can't do X, Y, and Z? And it's like, it's almost like I'm doing this almost like out of rebellion. In a way, it's kind of like you're, this feeling that you can't, that you're trying to prove, like almost like a protest to yourself. You're like, I'm doing everything I can to try to convince myself that this is where things should be, and I'm not trying to like I'm not trying to do anything else that's gonna require that same level of energy. It's like, please, brain, please get the power I need. Please, I need it. I need it. I need it. It's like a protest, or like you're praying to God to try to get something to work, almost. And so much so that you're like, okay, I'll change my whole diet just for this. But see, the problem, it's funny because I would think that maybe I should do fasting for it. The problem though with fasting is that for whatever reason, even your brain, like you don't have enough. Like I'm finding that the fat from the omega-3s is giving me what I need. It's like anything else, it would just take too long. Like I said, the BDNF factor would take too long to kick in. So yeah, just glad I'm going through this. But yeah, it's like I'm playing to God or something to give me the power to do the things that I need to do. Yeah. So yeah, those are just my thoughts, and thanks for watching. Hopefully, it's gonna be a workout between me and the guy that was interested. He's gonna come over Friday. Now, obviously, they can always flake, but I'm gonna call him and see what happens. But yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna work out. I think whatever, I think it's gonna work out. It's like, as long as I don't give in to temptation like I did before with all those fucking Little Caesars pizzas and McDonald's and all that, I think I'm good, There's just no way. I just don't think there's any way it's gonna happen again. And then still maintain my ability to and see and really realize what it actually is that allows me to give these cognitive boosts. So thanks for watching. I got a weird case here. Hold on. Sorry. Yeah, there's not really much else I can say, but one thing, okay, so I guess to be clear, what I'm doing specifically is I'm waking up, having black coffee, basically. And I make this drink now where I put a little bit of creatine, a little bit of electrolytes, some apple cider vinegar, and then a tiny bit of glycine as well. And, it's still a fasting drink. So yeah, I take that. I'll take my supplements, and I've discussed what I take in the past, like vitamin D3, right? And, I just kind of go at it until about 2 p.m. And then I'll open my first can of sardines and just start eating it. I'll have two, actually. And it's not just sardines. I'll have some sauerkraut to go along with it. And, I feel the effects almost immediately, like this. It's kind of like this softening of my brain. It kind of feels like it's supporting my brain like a pillow, almost like, ah. It's very interesting. It's like that omega-3 just goes to the brain. I love it. It just feels very good. And I still feel the omega-3s from what, it still feels, I can still feel it, the power, or whatever you want to call it, the energy it's giving me from the day before from the 6 cans of sardines I had yesterday. So it's great. I love it. What else can I say? Yeah, I mean, like, it's kind of interesting. I think that when you're growing up, and especially when you're like, you've defaulted to video games, you can't see the different ways of life. You don't understand, like, why it would be, what it means to experience life. You don't see that you could be this way or that way or this way or that way. And maybe it's just because you weren't raised, you were raised a certain way, or I don't know, it could be anything. But I think some people kind of because it kind of sucks because if you're one way, that's not healthy. It's like you're basically destined either for some kind of disorder, or like maybe thoughts of maybe depression or suicide, or could also be like an early death because you just don't have enough fluidity in your life. It's pretty amazing to think. I mean, it's not amazing, but it's pretty insightful to think about it, um, and to see how things go with most people. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and then I think some people just kind of they don't they kind of go through their life trying to discover what they think that there's one way of doing something, and there's never one way of doing something. And they don't know that it's just different tools for different situations, different, it's like a toolbox of different situations. So those are my thoughts, and thanks for watching. And actually, I might show you my sardine thing, regimen, um, that started, but a little bit later. So thanks for watching.